Sorry.
I was just waiting for the part where I'd recognize, but I couldn't. Oh, okay, yeah.
There you go. We got it.
There.
I'm keeping this one for the blooper reel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Gift of Gaming podcast. We are back again after a week of absence, and today I'm joined by Craig the Critical Nolan and Kev B. Guys, how we doing?
How you doing, man?
I'm
Kev.
Yeah. So
Not even
Not
A.
Kev P.
Yeah.
P.
So that's the thing is I was like, how do I differentiate between the two Kevs that appear in the show? And I was like, oh, I'll just say their initial, but B and P are very hard to differentiate against anyway. So
They
it's
even
gonna be
look similar.
Yeah. Same guy, essentially.
Just one
same
more
guy.
loop. That's all.
But so this we didn't do an episode last week. Apologies there, we had a scheduling issue, so we're back on it today. Today's episode was meant to be a games club about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but unfortunately, and by that I don't mean unfortunately at all, we got the joys of a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer, the second trailer for the game, on the State of Play last week. Did you enjoy it, guys? Did you enjoy the trailer? We're here to break down in its entirety and talk about it in all its grandeur. But I mean, did you watch the trailer? Did you have a nice time watching the trailer for the first time?
Yeah, I loved it. You were actually, I was on the phone to you when I watched it. I was hanging out with a friend and then rang you specifically to go through it and squealed like a child for 3.5 minutes. I was so excited.
Good. Yeah,
every part of it was.
I was lucky because I saw that there was a Nintendo Direct and a State of Play on the same day, and I says, oh, I'll just kind of chill out and watch these kind of on my phone and just lying down on the couch, in the background. And Nintendo Direct was cool. A couple of interesting things there.
So.
Yeah, it was all right. It was all right at best. But then I was like, oh, I'll watch the State of Play, and the State of Play was also okay. Up until the point where they got to the end, they showed I can't remember which Square Enix game. Oh, with the that stupid one with
it's real colorful.
The suds or the paint thing. It's like an Inkling.
Splatoon.
It's, I guess, is
it
Splatoon
Foam Party or something?
Foam Party.
Foam something, yeah.
It's the Splatoon knockoff. But that's a Square Enix game, believe it or not. And they were like, and now, something else from Square Enix. And I was like, oh, that game's a Square Enix game? That's awful. And then they mentioned Rebirth, and I got to watch the trailer there on my phone live. And I was like, this was an excellent surprise that I was not expecting. I didn't think we'd get another trailer. I mean, we had thought we might get one because of Ever Crisis.
Yeah, because that game came out, I knew we were going to get a trailer immediately. I kept saying no, they're going to release a trailer. Yeah. Granted, the trailer came after the game was released, so some people will still have got it spoiled. But this trailer, they pretty much showed us way too much information. So I loved the trailer, but I feel like I could have got 3 great trailers out of that,
Yeah.
But spread out over time.
Maybe
now
they
I'm going to have nothing for the next 6 months or something.
Maybe they just have so much stuff to show us.
I think it's because so much of what's in Ever Crisis is also in this game, so they had no choice.
Just to throw a few beats out. But that being said, is we've read a couple of, since the trailers come out, just by the way, people listen to this episode, this is just a full-blown Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
If you're not interested in Final Fantasy, just turn it off.
This is not the episode for you. But yeah, so they had mentioned a lot of the breakdowns, or there's a Q&A, and there was an interviews with the developers and stuff that was released on the PlayStation blog after the trailer.
They should not have released that. He gave away so much in that little breakdown interview thing.
Who, Nomura or
the link you sent us? Was it Nomura talking?
Well, it's Nomura, the current director, and I can't.
They were asking him a load of questions where I thought the answer would be, we can't talk about that right now. But he just went in massive detail about everything, and I was like, you really should have saved those details for trailers and things like that. You shouldn't just reveal it all in this nothing interview.
Well, so this is the interesting thing, is that for big games like this, those things often come out. We're just not paying attention to it because it's Final Fantasy. I was like, hook it to my veins. I will listen and read everything. Mm-hmm. So they generally do these kind of things, but you're right, they were quite well. Anything that Nomura, any kind of question that Nomura answered had shrouds of smoke and mirrors over it, as Nomura tends to do. But man, I thought so. They said 100 hours of content, easy in the game, which 2 discs.
They said the side content is way bigger than the main.
Yeah,
game.
twice as much side content as main game content.
I'm hoping that means good side content, because they even mentioned there'll be summons linked to the side content. Because I'm sick of seeing the summons just as a virtual thing. I'd like them to actually be present in the story.
Like, imagine going for the Knights of the Round Table mission. Imagine that being a whole side quest where you got to go get those guys. The dialogue you'd have with them, how cool they'd look.
Like, even it's a cool like backstory if they were like these ancient Centra warriors who were like the last remnants of Cetra. They were the last, say, 13 knights that fought against Genova and lost, but they beat her and then they sealed their essence in a materia type thing.
Craig, you should be writing
so
this shit.
They're Eret's ancestors, and even when you get them, they like know this Eret's, and they're just like, oh, you were a descendant from us. Like, they are the ancient war. That'd be the best way to do it. Have them be the long lost
awesome.
warriors who defeated Genova the first time.
That would be so dope. Could you imagine? The conversation you'd have with them? I mean, the only problem is it's Knights Around Tables, so they're essentially based off of Arthur's,
Yeah, but you just have them, like I said, make them the Cetra, so instantly it's like, get rid of the Camelot reference.
Yeah. Just forget that little bit, then you're good. Yeah, so that would be cool. But I suppose the easiest thing for us to do is, I have the trailer broken down in its entirety. So if you haven't yet, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII and you haven't seen the trailer, pop the trailer on and watch it. Pause this podcast, watch the episode, and then just go through the trailer with us, and we'll break it down as to what we know, what we like, what we don't like, what we expect, what we think certain things will mean, and we'll just get super excited about a game that's coming out on the 29th of February. Woo!
A leap year game.
29th of February. We gotta be careful. Is it a leap year though next year, or they screwed us?
No, it is
29th of February.
It's not actually coming out.
It's actually the following year, because they didn't say 2024 in the trailer. It said February 29th.
No, it said 2024.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're safe.
No, we're
safe, Craig. They can't pull the wool over.
Does that mean
our
we're
eyes.
going to get the third part on February 29th, 2028?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah.
Why would you think that?
4 years to
4
develop.
years since the last game.
I know, but the other game didn't come out on the 29th.
No, but it came out on the 3rd of March, I think. Okay. So a couple of days after. But I think the
so
leap
why
year
not
thing's...
March 3rd and not February 29th?
Well, because February 29th is kind of a funny thing because it is a leap year. I like that.
I know,
idea.
but it should have been funny in the first game.
Yeah, they missed a beat there. They probably had to delay.
They split the difference.
They did
March
delay
2nd.
Didn't they?
They did, yeah. It came out in April. It was meant to come out in March, and then they released a demo on the day that the game was meant to come out, and you got to do the bombing mission, and then it came out, like the 10th of April or something, maybe.
Yeah, that was
year.
cool.
So this one, it might still get delayed. You never know. But they said...
They seem more confident with this one.
Yeah, because they said winter 2024 or whatever, and then now they're saying the 29th. But they're giving themselves the maximum possible amount of time.
Yeah, winter 2024, the very last day of winter 2024.
And like you said, Craig, even a couple of the bits from the trailer you pointed out just before when we were watching it, it looks like it's still a game in progress. There's things that aren't fully rendered in and everything else, which was a great spot.
I love though that in the first game where we had the doors of the inn weren't rendered in the initial thing, but that ended up being a whole big thing.
I never once noticed that, and I played through that game 3 times.
I played through it, and I was, because that happens quite early where you go to that inn in the slums, and I was opening that door and I was like, ugh, a lot of this game looks great, but why didn't you render the doors? But it became this memeable thing, and then people on Twitter were talking about it, and when they released the update, they were like, now it rendered doors. So I was like, well, thank God for that.
The PS5 version didn't have that problem.
Yes,
right?
yeah, that's
they did lots with the PS5 version. They changed, when you're looking at the plate from underneath as well, it went from being kind of janky and pre-rendered, and it really didn't look well at all. And then the PS5 looked so
that scene
better.
when you climbed up the top,
yeah,
your favorite part with that music, and then you're looking back, that just looked like a JPEG in the PS4 version.
Yeah, and I think it
picture.
was. I think that it was how they got around the processing power of the PS4. They were like, no, it's just a picture. It's just a painting. It's like
that's what they
Star
did with the
Wars.
original 7.
Yeah.
It's all just
the whole
3D
game
models pasted onto pictures.
Yeah. And just run around. Why not? So I guess we'll crack into this trailer, guys. I know you said there was a lot in it, but I watched it, and I know from your excitement, Kev, that it was a trailer that just kept. And there's a certain point in the middle where it was just hitting me with bit after bit from what was the original Final Fantasy VII.
That's the gold saucer part.
Yeah, well, the gold saucer, the chocobos, all that bit where I was just like, wow, this has everything and more than I could have ever.
I know, but if the original game had a lot of stupid things, but it annoys me that they're continuing on with this stupid shit. Kate Sit should just not be in this game.
That is sacrilege.
They just have him in the Muggle in the Kate Sit thing as well. So it's again, once, like we said before, it's a robot in a robot.
So here's my
stupid Scottish accent.
Here's my Kotsit theory, and I was hoping to get to this when we got to the part of the trailer. But here's my Kate Sit, Kotsit, whatever.
Katshi.
Oh
I'm never going to say that.
No.
Kate Sit.
Kate Sit. Here's my Kate Sit theory. In this game, he is not a cat robot controlling another robot. He is a creature that exists in the world that is good friends with Reeves. He's a spy for Reeves, essentially, and will go out and make friends with the party. But I also think he's kind of got like a tracker vibe going on, because we see in the trailer that like, hey, we're looking for Sephiroth, and Kat's it's like, oh,
really?
Sephiroth, you say? Yeah, exactly. Scottish is interesting because what I love about that.
I mean, I love the Scottish accent. It's my favorite accent in the world, but the delivery of the lines were terrible. Like,
not great.
Sephiroth.
Yes,
like who would say it like that, you know? But Sephiroth's lines are way worse. He is being ruined. I think it goes because like COVID was like the height of the original FF7 remake. You know, we were playing it through the start of that, so it stands to reason that they recorded a lot of the voice lines during COVID. Yeah. So none of the actors are talking to each other, and to me it shows a lot, because the dialogue, particularly in the first two trailers we've seen so far for Remake Part 2, the delivery has been terrible, especially from the actor who's voicing Sephiroth. Like, he is awful. You know, he's just like, Cloud, you know I'm the truth. Trust in me. Yeah, and I'm just like, you sound like a fucking idiot. Like,
his voice is a very good Sephiroth voice. His delivery is poor. But what I do want to say is that you're right. You think it should be better, but it is a Square Enix Japanese RPG that is being essentially dubbed with English, and they never sell well.
That's true.
They never sell well.
Clive did, and the voice actor Clive in FF16, like, did such an amazing job. Maybe I'm just used to that, but now going back to Sephiroth, I'm like, man, you suck. You know?
But I think the Clive Final Fantasy 16 was an exception to the rule, or them understanding the importance of being able to deliver this to a Western audience. But we'll break into this trailer because the time's going to be we're going to talk for ages about this. So Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth trailer opens up, and it's Midgar on fire, and I'm assuming the aftermath of the tornado bit that we have at the end of Final Fantasy 7 Remake. And it cuts to Zack carrying Cloud on his back. And I think we hear the voice of, I think it's Elmira, Aerith's adopted mother, just talking about how everybody thinks the world's ending. And the phrase comes up on the screen, the world will be saved, but will you? Mm-hmm. Thoughts? Who are we talking about here?
It has to be Aerith, right? Considering it's like Elmira talking, Aerith's mother. Yeah. Or I actually thought it was Aerith when I heard it at first, which is, I thought it was a sure thing it was Aerith. But like, who else is there to say?
Well, for me, I honestly thought the world will be saved, but will you? Because in the original game, it was hinted at that the world was saved, but everyone died. You know, like that because Red 13 runs through a deserted Midgar, which has no people in it. You know, so that is the ending. So for me, that was the ending we were supposed to get, but then in Advent Children, somehow everyone was still alive.
I think so. The Red 13 thing was also at the start of Advent Children, and I think that
was
they
tried to
bullshit
us.
Yeah.
But they tried to just showcase it that some separate incident occurred afterwards that meant Midgar.
Well, they had. Well, I guess it's because in Advent Children, the geostigma gets cured as well. So there's no like long-lasting disease that's going to wipe out humanity. But I guess is there something else that happens? But
they basically just retconned the ending. You know, like they were unhappy with it. They wanted to make their movie, and then they were like, let's just delete that.
But what's nice is that in the movie they deleted it, but in the game, what I like about what they're doing here is that they're showing us. I mean, we know that Final Fantasy VII Remake, that the trilogy, is the sequel to Advent Children, the movie, essentially, and the first. That's kind of how it's going to play out. But they still, say, that was the bad ending. Which is where like the meteor comes and you're not really saved. So here's your chance to get the good ending. So I'm glad that we might get a thing
but that is what I mean. Saved. I mean, like, we could save the planet, but this time humanity is lost. Like, everyone dies. So that's what it could be alluding to. Because the original game, it was supposed to be everyone died, but then they survived. So in this true version, maybe everyone does die and the planet is saved, because humanity is just going to wreck it again. So the best ending for the planet is wiping out humanity.
So your thoughts there is that is alluding to the race of people as opposed to a single individual in our party.
Yes,
per se.
Because it says "will you," and we don't know who the
royal you.
We don't know who the text on the screen is talking to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, part of me thinks it's Zack, or I mean, this is just me going deep down the conspiracy hole of like who dies in this game, because I have a funny feeling you could probably kill off Cloud in this game and have Zack take that
mantle. I think the only way to get rid of Sephiroth is to kill Cloud, because he's permanently linked to Cloud. So there's no way of getting rid of Sephiroth unless Cloud is dead, because he keeps coming back through Cloud. Like, that's how he's doing it. Like, if you read the White and Black novella, shows how in Advent Children, like, he was dead, he was in the live stream, but he managed to maintain his essence just through the memories Cloud had of him, and was able to rebuild himself, knowing that once Cloud sees him, Cloud will just register Sephiroth in his mind, and then Sephiroth will know what he used to look like. And because he had no memories of what that was, but he's like, no, I'll rely on Cloud. When Cloud sees me, the fear in him will conjure me, like, it'll give me a physical form. So he needs Cloud to live. So he's kind of nurturing Cloud. Even in this game, he's nurturing him.
So the only thing I would say in counter to that is that the reason I say Cloud is because we have two Clouds, essentially. In this, we've seen in the first trailer, there's like a Cloud who's sick and he's going to the reunion, who we think is Zack's Cloud. And then we've got like our hero Cloud. And my thoughts are like, well, if we've got two Clouds, we can afford to kill off one and it not be
I think that's
tragic.
how they'll do the Hollywood ending. I bet the second Air Cloud dies, the other one wakes up instantly.
Oh yeah. That's not a bad shout. Okay, interesting. Okay, so from there then we get because I said this wrong for years. Junon.
Yeah.
Junon. So we get Junon with
Rufus.
What
do you say?
I used to say Junion. Like
an
onion with a J, like, with the Junion. Junon with Rufus kind of riding that supercar, that white car with the soldier in it, and he kind of, mentions that this is the new world order, kind of his, because that's the parade for his inauguration as president, and they launch the cannon. Not what happens in the original Final Fantasy VII.
They don't shoot the cannon.
They don't shoot the cannon.
But I mean, they have to, the updated graphics and the shockwave across the water and everything else. Junon looks absolutely class. Like, it looked great in the first trailer as well, when they're fighting on the beach and you can see the high wind on top of it and everything else. So I'm glad they focused on it more in this one. And even when you have the scene of Cloud doing the marching thing, like, all the buildings look the same, the laneways look the same, the shop fronts, like, they've
really captured the essence of it.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's great.
So then we go from that to the marching soldier group that Cloud's leading, which I guess is still going to be a mini game.
Hopefully that'll be a mini game. That'd be great if they just threw that into the gold saucer for no reason.
Because there is a bit in the on the command. So when you pause it, when the soldiers are marching, there's a bit on the command thing to say change formation. So I guess there is certain actions they have to do, because in the original game it was with a gun, right? You had to fold the gun in time with the other guys.
Different poses with the 4 buttons.
I have never done well on that game. I only replayed 7 a few months ago, like maybe May. And I can never get a good score at all. And then, like, the presenters are watching you and they talk shit about you. Like, what is this guy doing? Get him out of there.
I hope we see those presenters in this game, because I always was like, where are they coming from? Where are these guys?
Because there was in one of the articles you sent me, I think it was the one with Nomura and everything in it, they were talking about the minigames and talking about that one in particular and saying that it is going to be different. So, like, you're leading the formations or whatever in this one, rather than Cloud just being tacked onto that.
You as a leader,
so you can like walk and give commands, and the guys walking behind you will change formation. And
it'd be cool if it goes on for a while. Like, you're doing different things, and the crowd are actually cheering. Depending on what you're doing, because we could really get into it. Like,
it looks like that's what they're doing, is expanding so many of the mini games. So I can't wait.
100 hours of content. So what we got after that then is we get little kind of run around of the world. It's Cloud running through. I think that first scene is it Gongaga, like Zack's old hometown, like, with the blown up reactor?
Yeah, that's what everyone's been saying. That's the only place you go to a blown reactor like that in the original game, right? Is Gongaga, and it has to be.
Yeah, okay.
I think it has to be Gongaga.
So we get like Gongaga, then we get a shot of underneath Junon, and then we get a shot of Cosmo Canyon. How's the world looking to you fellas?
Gorgeous. Yeah, it really is, like, next level good, and it leads me to believe that, like, the areas will be much bigger than, say, FF16. Like, they just seem so expansive the way you can see the draw distance so much in the background. It looks really nice.
Because my hopes is that me and Kev were chatting away, and it was before I read the interview piece with the development team. Me and Kev were talking, and I was like, man, I still think it could be, like, 100 hours of content to this. I still think it could be a whole open world map. But they confirmed, I think, essentially, not exactly 100%, but they've essentially confirmed that it's big, massive areas that you can return back to.
But I think that those areas are just the continents, I'd say. So there's just going to be, the first continent will get you as far as Junon. And then that's probably where the first kind of loading type screen thing happens, when you get the boat to go over. But everything before Junon will be a whole open world, I'd say. Yeah. And then everything from Costa del Sol will be the second part of the world. And then you might get, because they've said specifically that Wutai won't be in this, so that's not going to be its own continent this time. So you might get a third continent being the Forgotten Capital, which might have a few more locations in it this time.
Yeah, but they could split it at like Nibelheim or somewhere on the second continent, you know, because
they are changing the location of places. Because,
and the order.
Yeah, because you show up in Mideel, which is on an island to the south. The party have no way of getting there. There's no way they could get there in this game, yet they are. You know?
Well, we think they are. I mean, it looks exactly like you're talking about the hospital scene.
The hospital. You can see they purposely show you the
blue
and stuff. Like it's definitely the
Mideel hospital.
The doctor's clinic.
I don't know, because like, why is he in the hospital with his sword and not in a wheelchair if it's the hospital?
So because that's like the hospital part and the part where he's in a wheelchair will be in the next game.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. Like they're changing the order. So you're going to Mideel first, as opposed to afterwards. You'll probably come back again when Cloud is fucked up.
Yeah,
you know?
they're
introducing that place now.
Yeah. They're introducing that place and the doctor and the fact that he's the guy working on cell degeneration, and I think that'll lead into like this is where we need to bring Cloud when he's sick and all that kind of stuff.
And even in that same scene with the clones, Cloud does see Sephiroth and goes to attack him again. But
which is such a silly scene.
It's a silly scene because of the voice acting, but it's cool. So everyone will be able to see that, okay, Cloud is kind of freaking out.
He's kind of crazy.
Because there's loads of times in the first game where you're like, is Sephiroth actually there, or is only... like, the party a lot of the time don't register if they're seeing Sephiroth or not.
Yeah,
you don't know.
There's an interesting scene in the first game where before you drop down to the bottom of one of the research things in the Shinra building where you meet Red 13 and he starts fighting with you, is Sephiroth on the catwalk. Yeah. And Cloud jumps to attack him and you fall down, but there's none
of the party react to it at all,
to Sephiroth being there. Yeah, so you wonder, is he crazy? Is he crazy the whole time? Yeah, so good. Okay, so from the scene where we get like a little bit of a around the world, we go to Tifa fighting with kind of some ships on the beach. That thing's fairly standard, but then we get our first introduction of what looks like the new version of dual text. So we have Cloud and Barrett, like it's very much a side-by-side fighting thing, and like, you know, Barrett crashes down on the monster and Cloud follows up then with a slash down. Yeah. And then we get Red 13 and Aerith, and Red 13's kind of like fighting around Aerith as she's just clonking things with the sticks. The dual tech look, I mean, you guys played
was Aerith, sorry to interrupt, was the Aerith and Red thing, was that a dual tech, or were they just fighting?
I don't think that was a dual tech. I think
they were
just dual tech was with Kate's it, where he's like
an actual,
yeah, after, whereas I think that was just kind of showing Red fighting, because it's the first time we've seen Red. Oh no, we saw a bit of Red gameplay in the first trailer.
And in this one, it's the exact same place. I think it's just that before you get to Junon. But I mean, based on the Cloud and Barrett one dual text, you guys played the Yuffie DLC, which is kind of the first introduction we got to them. Yeah. Are you guys excited to have the dual text?
I am and I amn't. I found the Yuffie DLC like difficult to play. Like, even though I was only controlling Yuffie and Sonon, but I still found the controls tricky and like to learn how she worked and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, if I had to play Yuffie doing the dual text with Sonon while also controlling Tifa and Cloud and doing those dual texts again, that would be way too overwhelming for me. I don't think I'd be able to manage, because the characters are starting to play quite differently. So it's no longer the case of I'll run up and press square and then, you know, do a spell or whatever. Plus, unless they've mapped more buttons, it means I'm going to be pressing start and choosing my commands like crazy, like, because there's just too many new abilities, you know, with the dual text and all the different stuff. Because the game is going to be paused for the majority of the game.
If you have to change, I'd say, judging by in the first trailer, we got to look at what looked like more like kind of charge bars, which people are saying is like for the use of the dual text. Yeah, but it's kind of like I think in the interview they said it'll be used like it charges like a limit and it'll be used like a limit. So I wondered, is it a simple thing where you've got an attack and you just press left or right on the D-pad and it'll have like, you know, dual tech Tifa, dual tech Barrett, depending on who's on your
because
party.
We were saying like there's not probably going to be too many dual techs per person, because if you consider how many individual attacks they have to animate and everything else, like it might just be one for every set of characters, like maybe two. If
I didn't even think everyone would get one with each character. I thought there'd be like 2 or 3, you know, and they just kind of pick who they match up well with.
Judging by and then later on the trailer it shows, judging that Aerith has a dual tech with Katsith, I think everyone's going to have a dual tech with everyone. Yeah. If you're going to pick those two together to have a dual tech, it's like, everyone gets one.
Who would Katsith doing with, like, you know, like nobody is like close with him.
But that's what I'm quite excited for, because I mean, if you're changing the party around a lot, which I think I I will, based on how this game looks. Kotset was a person I never had on my team in the original Final Fantasy
VII.
VII.
I used him for an hour and then went, who would want to throw a dice?
You took his what was his materia that made manipulating people easier? You took that off him and gave it to someone else so you could learn enemy skills, and then I just never used them again.
But it looks like because, I mean, every character, I mean, Aerith was still fun, but I'd say the weakest of the 4 we could play as in the first remake.
I'd say in terms of like fun, yes, and the voice actor had very little dialogue, so anytime you switch to Aerith, she'd go, I'll show you what I can do. And like after a while, I get so sick of hearing that. But the other characters had that problem as well. But she was the most powerful of the characters, I think, because magic is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But she just isn't as fun to play as, because you're standing in the background,
very standing still,
spells.
Whereas if you're
some people love, I mean, your brother would love that. Like,
Andrew would be a big fan of that for sure. But I think seeing him and the dual text, everything, I'm very excited to see that, like the cutscenes, how that's going to change the game, like how exciting fight scenes would be. They could be there fighting bosses, like fighting Elena and co, and you're doing dual text with Tifa and Aerith, and everyone's. It's just it's going to hype the cinematic side of things so much. But yes,
like that fight against Rude and Elena that they showed in the first trailer, like I'm so excited to play that.
It's going to be great, yeah.
Especially because it seems like they're doing active transitions during the fight. With Tifa and Cloud back to back, and they split for seconds, and all of a sudden a beam from Aerith gets fired. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
It's going to be so good. After that little show of the little fighting show, we get a flashback of Sephiroth cutting through the I suppose what would you call it?
The capsule
to release the monster, where you can hear Sephiroth talking about like, oh god, am I even human? So we get a little look back at the Nibelheim flashback. Do you think that's going to be delivered well?
Not by the Sephiroth's voice actor. No, he's doing a terrible job.
Damn.
I think maybe like the storyboarding, for lack of a better term, the visuals, like they'll probably expand that section of the game, and like I'm excited to see it with dialogue and everything else.
But if you just think of Sephiroth the character, he's very much like Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 3. He's a good guy one moment, and then he's an instant bad guy the other moment.
Yeah,
he just goes from good to evil like a light switch, and it never ever made sense. And even in this one, I'm like, I hope they do a good job trying to show him slowly turn.
That's why I think,
if they have a scene with him like slashing the capsule, right, and then he goes down, I'd love to see the Genova cells slowly start to infect him or something. Like, he's been so strong that he's been keeping it at bay, but like because he feels vulnerable now, he's questioning his identity. Show us the Genova cells taking a hold, like changing him, and then it's fine. Then it's all good. So long as I know he's being influenced and he's not just turning evil for no reason.
Do you not think this... Because my thing about it would be them re-releasing like a HD upped version of Crisis Core, essentially, for the PS5. And that going through the story of, Genesis and Angeal and them succumbing to the Genova cells. Do you not think that we will get lots more of kind of that in this scene? I don't think they're going to go through this flashback without mentioning Genesis or Angeal.
I haven't played Crisis Core in so long, and I'm not looking forward to any of that because I'm going to be so confused.
Yeah, even seeing Zack angers me. Like, I'm just like, I don't want him to be included. Like,
But so my thing about it would be now. Did they expand on it, or was it just massively confusing in Crisis Core? It was massively confusing in Crisis Core. It made very little sense, a classic JRPG style. But I would be so surprised if we didn't start the game with this flashback. And we didn't get our first hint of... Because we've already gotten in the DLC for the 7 Remake, we got all the feckin' Dirge of Cerberus characters in there. So we know they're going to have another part to play. So this would be the first introduction, I think, of the Crisis Core side of things beginning to meld into. I don't think we're going to go through that flashback without Sephiroth talking about my friend Genesis succumbed to the Genova cells and he became a monster and maybe I'm one of them too.
It's just all too convoluted and stupid.
Yeah, I hope we get through most of this game without it getting too ridiculous, because I feel like the third game is going to have to be out there, like they're going that direction. Mm-hmm. But I'm hoping they are still, because they, they're talking about hitting all the same plot points and everything else, but just keep it together for this game. Throw in a few mad bits. I'm fine with a little bit of extra story. It's going to be different, whatever. But like, I want to go to all the same places and do all the same things with all the same characters, And if it's going to end at the Forgotten Capital, where, spoiler, Aerith gets chopped up, like that seems like a perfect place to diverge. Like that's going to be, potentially Aerith survives maybe.
Well, this is what my sense of it is that Aerith survives and Cloud dies. I think Cloud
dies at the end at the Forgotten Capital.
And you play the third game as Zack. Yeah.
For me, logically, it would make sense if Cloud died because that would stop Sephiroth from coming back to life. But these are Japanese game directors, and they are insane. So it's not going to go that way, you know.
I just think, because my thing about it is the fact that we're crossing timelines, and the third game will be the absolute crossing of these two timelines. So Zack's party will come into play with Cloud's party. Cloud will be dead, but there'll be a sick Cloud, and everyone will think that's, we got to save Cloud. There's still an opportunity for us to save Cloud.
Bring that sick Cloud to Mideel. Like, that's the Cloud.
That's the Cloud. I mean, that's what I mean. And I think you play you play the game as the last thing would be playing the game as Zack. You know?
I just don't think I don't think Zack is going to be playable in this game.
No, I don't think this game, but I think the next game. I think he'll be the main. This is me with my tinfoil hat on, saying I think because Zack is such a fan favorite. Such a fan favorite. And I know it bothers you, Craig, because he's
just Cloud with black hair in the original game.
Yeah. And he steals a lot of Cloud's traits, and like he doesn't even have his own identity. Yeah. I told you about how he met Aerith.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Crisis Core tried to change all that, like, you know, but Crisis Core made Zack a real big fan favorite for the fans.
But they changed who he was as a character.
Yes.
Yeah. But from an arrogant douchebag to like this hero who we're supposed to love. And I'm like, no, that's never who he was.
You were never like that. You were always a douchebag. Yeah. But so I think that's my conspiracy theory. Tinfoil hat on. That's how we'll get that. So yeah, I think Flashback's going to have lots of weird Nomura bits.
It's going to get weird.
Yeah.
I
wish they just saved the weirdness till the end, like they did with the first game. You know, like the first game is a relatively like normal story, you know, with just a bunch of people trying to blow up reactors because this evil corporation are ruining the world. That's pretty basic, you know. It's a nice action kind of movie.
Yeah.
But this one is going off the rails right from the get-go with these flashbacks and like Sephiroth questioning, do I have the Genova cells now? I'm like, I don't want to hear that, you know.
But why would you not rather hear that and have, you know, a bit of exposition for Sephiroth going mad than just like a flashback where suddenly he's in a library and he's mental and he's
reading books and fast forward or whatever. Yeah. I think them explaining some of what happened in Crisis Core or some of the knowledge of the Genova cells will make for a more tasteful.
Oh no, that's what process. I want big time. I just don't think they're going to do it. They're just going to. What's going to happen? It's going to be just like Episode 3, and he's just going to kill all the younglings, which in this meme is Nibelheim with the whole town of villagers. Yeah. He's just going to kill them off for no reason, and then he's just going to be evil, and we're going to just have to go along with that.
I disagree, and I will bet you one slice of pizza that we get way more.
A whole pizza.
Can you afford a whole pizza on this
pizza? I'm gonna eat the other half.
All right, so after
tasted defeat.
After the flashback we get, and I know you don't like how the lines are delivered, but I actually think this is a really, really cool scene where I don't know where they are. They're in some building somewhere, but Cloud's like, "We're looking for Sephiroth. Can you find him?" And then you get. What's the real name, Kev, that you think people want to call
No, I don't. There's like the Final Fantasy Union channel. They say Katshi. Loads of people say it. I know Maximilian Dude absolutely despises that. Yeah. I say Kate Sith. I used to say Cat Sith.
I say Cat Sith.
I used to say Cat Sith as well. But Kate Sith just sounds...
Which makes sense, C-A-I-T.
Yeah, Kate Sith. But we get his introduction, and although his delivery, as you said, Craig, isn't great, I love that scene. I love that like they have like an information broker with them. We're like, hey, we're trying to find Sephiroth. And we've heard that you're a cat that can find him. And he's like, aye.
But what annoys me is that like we can only play as 3 characters at once. You know, yeah, we can swap them in, but we're not going to be swapping every 5 seconds, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like, they probably spent ages working on him, but he's going to be benched immediately by everyone.
So I disagree. I sent a message to the podcast WhatsApp group or whatever after watching the trailer, and it was like, Kate Sith looks great. Like, that's a sentence I never thought I'd say.
Yeah.
I think he looks amazing.
But he looks just like he did in the original game.
Yeah, but
it's this big, massive robot that doesn't make any sort of sense.
No, it doesn't. And he like pops in and out of existence, and he's like twirling around. And, like,
you say that because you're excited because you haven't played them yet. But an hour in, you'll be like, "Oh, I'm over this."
So this is where I think if he's got the kind of move set, which was all very mundane, like
he's going to be throwing dice and shit.
I don't know if he will. I think, judging by the way they were playing as him in that small snippet of the trailer that you see, where he's kind of, you know, after you're introduced to him, you get a little scene of him fighting in the battle. He looks like he could be, like everybody so far, a lot of fun to play as. And I think because
he could be fun, but he's still going to be benched, you know. People always want that realism.
You've hated him for so long.
Well, no, I mean, I love Red 13, but I can tell you right now, I know he's going to be benched too, because I don't want this Sonic the Hedgehog spinny bullshit. Like I don't want that. He's also going to get benched.
I'd love if they were able to get the stats. After everyone had played it, a couple of months later, being like the most picked or the least picked people in people's parties. You'll have, regardless of how funny he is, Case will 100% be one of them.
He will be 100% at the bottom.
But what I'm thankful for is that he does look like he could still be. He seems to fit in this whole everybody's fun to play as kind of mentality.
All the characters have been fun to play, and there's nothing to suggest that he won't be fun. Like it's not the original game. It's not an original turn based, and he uses manipulate and yells at people or rolls dice or whatever he does. He has 2 limit breaks, and neither of them are good. Like, it's not going to be that. They've obviously put some effort into him, which I appreciate. Yeah. He looks fantastic. It looks like he's got 2 separate sets of moves, like one when he's just Kate Sith and one when he has the robot thing.
It looks like they're both doing things in the moves, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because it gives him a little bit more style to him, because he's just this big robot that can't really move very well.
And I think they're probably, it's so funny. I've seen so many memes about him being like, he's a robot driven by a cat. It's a cat robot driving another robot. But in this one, it looks like whatever the thing that he has, whatever the fucking robot is. My impression is that Kate Sith's going to be a real life thing, not a robot, who has befriended Reeves in some way, or they both care for the way the planet is going. So he works for Reeves or works with Reeves to go and spy and see what's going on. And I think whatever the fuck the robot is magical in this game, because we saw it poof into existence. And I think if that's how they're going to do it, you could probably, it's a little bit more pliable than what you had before.
Even if Kate Sith, the cat, was still a robot, I'd feel better about it if the other one wasn't a robot and was like a magic, like a materia or something. Like they explained it away some way, even if it's stupid, a robot driving a robot.
We're already giving Kate Sith way too much time. What's the next thing?
That was one of the standout parts of the trailer.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. The next scene we get is, and this is going to be so cool, because to me it shows how big the world possibly is. We get our first look at the Dune buggy.
Oh, the Dune buggy looks great. And it looks like it is it called the Coral Prison? I was talking about this because it's Mount Coral under the Gold Saucer where you fight down.
I don't know if the prison had a name, but
it's
so directly under the Gold Saucer.
It looks like that area. It's all deserty and stuff. It looks great.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. But the fact that they showed all these different methods of transportation with the different chocobos going up the walls and everything like that leads you to believe that the map is very big.
Huge. Yeah.
Because
if you need
you're
these
going
things
to have specific chocobos to get to certain areas. So traversal is going to be a big thing.
And they said something about it being specific chocobos for specific areas.
Yeah.
So the black one will be in one area and the sky chocobo or whatever will be in another area. Do you know what I mean?
So what I'll do is, the next scene we get our first look at the chocobos. We see a black chocobo walking up a cliff, and we see a kind of turquoisey green blue chocobo kind of gliding in the air to, I think is it Hojo talking about, I see you're here for the reunion as well. But what's cool about that, that looked great, but I'm a little bit worried that breeding chocobos is not going to be a thing based off.
I don't think breeding them will be a thing. I'd say you just rent them from the stable in the
area or whatever.
Yeah, and that breaks
which
my
is
heart.
A shame.
Yeah, because that was so much. They've said that you use these chocobos to get to parts. For further exploration. They won't have anything to do with the main story, but if you want to go and explore, get your black chocobo and climb these mountains. And I would love if you could but I don't have a black chocobo yet. When I breed one, I'll bring it back there and I'll climb those mountains. I'd love that for the level of kind of playing around in that chocobo breeding mini game.
Yeah.
That would be so much more fun and less grindy than the original game was.
I hadn't thought about it, but I mean, realistically, you'll probably be running around and you'll be able to see them and go up to them and initiate a battle. Because, you could fight them in FF16, so they have all those animations ready, to go. So it'll be a fight, and you just throw the Gychel greens at them.
Get the music going.
Hop on their backs, and then the music kicks in. I don't see why they couldn't do that.
We've been introduced to Chocobo Bill. We've seen the Chocobo Farm in the first trailer.
Yeah.
To me, it's as a person who really enjoyed that bit, I was quite lucky in terms of it didn't take me ages to do the grind with the internet, so I was like, I get this, and
which bit?
Just the breeding to get the gold chocobo.
It took us we did that in school.
Took us ages.
It took us forever.
Yeah.
I'd rather not breeding, but find them in the wild. Sorry if I wasn't clear with that.
So you
could see a gold one or a green one. Well, not gold, but you see a black one, a green one, a blue one, and you're just like, oh shit, that's the one I need, and then you chase after.
That'd be fun. I think I'd like the breeding part, but
Just go back.
I just
to
want
Chocobo
everything
Bill.
to be in it. So
have some chocobos called Billy and Barry and whatever
and
the
Goldie.
names. And Goldie.
Every gold
Yeah.
chocobo.
Goldie.
Yeah.
All
I just
right.
got tired of naming them after a while.
Yeah. So after that, we get this thing of like cool chocobo showcase, and then we get the tiny little snippet of Cloud segueing around what has to be Costa del Sol.
And in the
Because
bottom
it's
right,
also the Hojo doing his voiceover.
Yes.
So it's probably him at the beach, and then shows Cloud doing this little thing.
him at the beach as well. I forgot about that part.
Is
But
Hojo sunbathing in the original game?
Yeah,
He is, yeah. And because Cloud is wearing different clothes, I imagine everyone's got their summer gear on, you know?
I
That's
love
gonna
it,
be
man.
so
I know the
weird.
Japanese have to have scenes where the main characters are in their bikinis at the beach. So that just has to happen.
They have to tick the box exercise, like.
It's gonna be great. And the bottom right, I pointed out when we were watching the trailer.
Oh,
for
yeah.
the second time, it says distance traveled on the Segway, and it's like 1.3 kilometers. So there's obviously plenty of space to explore in the Segway. I love it. I love it.
So an
can't
interesting
wait.
thing, Costa del Sol. So they get a little mini thing of everyone in the new gear, Costa del Sol. Then one of my favorite bits of the trailer, we're dropped from Cloud in the Segway to the Midgar Zolom, like just the next scene, and he looks unbelievably good.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. And because you fight Elaine and the Turks and stuff in the cave just past the Midgar Zolom, right?
You don't fight them; they just talk to you and then they leave.
But we will probably
we do fight them in this game.
It looks like
there's definitely a fight.
In the cave. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I wonder if it will be a Chocobo thing. Like, do you have to get a Chocobo from Chocobo Bill at the farm to get across the?
Well, yeah, that's how you.
In the
first
original game,
works,
but
yeah.
I wonder if they'll do the same
No,
thing.
so
in this.
judging by that cutscene, it looks like it's a battle thing, and I think to cross there you have to fight and defeat the Midgar Zone, because this is where I think I possibly think they made a mistake in introducing Sephiroth the way they did in the first game. Is that Sephiroth is this terrifying entity for such a long time in the first game without you ever seeing him. And then you cross the marsh, and then the Midgar Zolom, which is this thing you can't fight, is like staked through a tree.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh my god, Sephiroth did this." I don't think we're going to get that. I don't, because Sephiroth's doing a totally different thing now, based off.
Yeah.
But
what
he
happened.
pops up so much. Even in the trailers, he's popping up more than any other
Everywhere.
character.
Yeah.
They're using him way too much.
They could still do it. I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe it's a case that you go and you get a cutscene and he pops up and it's all scary, and then he gets murked by Sephiroth. But then you can go back and fight him in the original game because he just respawns. But that kind of continuity error won't fly anymore. Like, it was fine in the first
I mean, there
game.
were always two of them because you had to cross
to kill that
puddle,
one, and then there was the
true.
dead
and then
one.
the dead one was over there. So there was always two.
Well,
so it doesn't, just because there's one here that we fight doesn't mean Sephiroth hasn't killed them already, which he will.
But I
have.
think that was just like a continuity error from a game from 1997. Do you know? Because it's
why
like,
would they been? Why wouldn't there
'cause why
be
isn't
more
there-
than one monster?
well,
in
why
the-
isn't there two of them just like in the thing trying to get you all the time? There's only ever
because
one in the lake.
How would they
and you
breed?
avoid
How
it,
would they
and then-
make more?
Sephiroth's
ones?
already killed the one. So when you're crossing over, there's only one chasing you, and you get to the other side, and because you've escaped it, you haven't fought it, and you see the one that Sephiroth's killed. So there is two, but you only ever have to worry about one because Sephiroth's killed one. So I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
but I don't think that we're going to get any. I think you will fight the Zolom to
I
cross.
think we'll fight it, and the party after about 60 seconds will be like, "Let's get out of here. We can't beat this thing." Like, for me, it's gonna be one of those moments where like they're overpowered and they need to bail.
Okay.
You know, so you will trigger a fight, but they'll
It'll
be
be too
like,
strong.
"Okay, we need to do something else," and then they'll think, "Let's go back to the Chocobo farm. Maybe we need speed to get across." You know.
Okay. Yeah.
And so because you wouldn't get to the lake and just see a shadow, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I don't like the look of that. We better get Chocobo." Like, you'd have to see it, you know?
Yeah.
There'd always be a cutscene, and then the party go, "Oh shit, let's get out of here."
Yeah.
So I still think you are going to retreat and not actually kill the thing.
Because in this, you've got to assume that you go to the farm before you get to the lake or anything. Because in the after Intergrade, they're all in the car with Chocobo Bill, like on the way to the farm. Because in the original game, it's like,
well, they
you
weren't
walk,
on the way
you
to the
see
farm;
them.
they were hitching a ride to camp.
Oh, that's it.
So
That's true.
they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
go to the Chocobo farm. So
Yeah.
realistically, they're going to go to that lake, realize they can't cross it, and then
Yeah.
go, "Oh shit, that Chocobo guy, remember?"
He's around
Yeah.
here somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
We got
and
a
then they
Chocobo.
have
That
the
makes
idea
sense,
to go there.
And then in the first, we did see in the first trailer, the area that the Chocobo farming is kind of very heavily forested, it looks like. And there was another scene later on in that trailer where all the party are on Chocobos running around what looks to be a similar environment. So yeah, that looks like that would say looks like it'd be correct. Next we get some more dual techs, Barrett and Yuffie, which looks
I
unbelievable.
love
Looked
that
awesome.
one.
That
Yeah.
one looked great.
Yeah, Barrett and Yuffie, and then we get the Aerith and Katsit thing, which I love. Like her giving like the whatever the fuck the robot is some orbs to eat, and then he just blasts out this power beam. It's so good. It's he could be so much fun, and I would love for that what would you say, that renewal for him, that he's like
the redemption
arc for Cloud, that he'd actually be a little bit fun.
This game's actually about Cait Sith when he becomes the main character. Cloud dies and he leads the party to victory.
So this, after that one where we see the dual text, which look great. Oh, actually, just on the dual text, on the reading of some of the interviews and that with the developers, they've actually come out and said that, you remember in the first remake there was a skill tree with the weapons.
Yes.
They said there's a skill tree now with the dual tech. So I wonder, would we even get a dual tech with the weapons anymore, or is it going to be like a sphere grid type thing for developing dual techs? Yeah. But like, what does that look like, and how does that? I mean, would you be able to put an element to the dual tech?
Well, and after us just being like, it'll be so hard for them to animate more than one dual tech. That's a good question. Is it like, do you alter the dual tech you have? And put an element on it, or just increase damage or whatever else, or is there multiple dual techs for different characters? Or
that you
need to unlock them
grid
originally to use them in the first place? Do you know, they're not all unlocked by default.
Yeah, I doubt that. But apparently, like, you even have to build relationships to unlock them. Wasn't that mentioned in the interview as well?
I mean, I'd love that. That's my kind of.
Maybe you have to have certain characters in your party for enough time for it to be unlocked.
For a dual tech to the.
I like the idea of that because they haven't built the bond yet.
That's very Fire Emblem. You know,
but for me, I wanted this game to be more of them going, because in the scene where they're like, "Oh, gold saucer, isn't that great?" In the original, only Aerith gives a shit about the gold saucer, So they're trying to throw Yuffie in, being all excited and this, that, and the other. But Aerith was the one who was enjoying the adventure, while the other ones were dead serious all the time. Mm-hmm. I want the adventure to be her just trying to have fun constantly, and just trying to get the others to kind of enjoy themselves a bit more. So I want that scene where you're out in the wild and you build a campfire and like you go into a tent, like it's a tent scene. You're going to use a tent, but everyone's gathered around a campfire and then they just have the chats,
like
just having
like
a couple
15
of conversations, and that would blow my mind. I would rather that than any fight, just let me see the characters sitting down by a campfire
like a Baldur's,
for 2 or 3 minutes, just interacting in small ways.
A Baldur's Gate 3 long rest type
exactly.
Jobs. Yeah. Oh man, that'd be so good, because, and this is the thing, is when you look at the history of Final Fantasy in recent years, they have that blueprint from Final Fantasy 15. Like they have that. This interaction between people on the journey, they have that. Less so in 16 because they removed the idea of a party, but like some of that stuff's there just to be like.
If you put 7 into 15. And like the gameplay was all terrible, it was all atrocious, but they had those great character moments.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a better game.
yeah, than just the combat. Okay, so then we get to after that we get to Cloud and Sephiroth in, I guess, the flashback fighting together. What appears to be a scorpion monster that wasn't on the menu in the original game.
It's the Materia Keeper who used Trine, which is one of the best spells of enemy skill you can get.
Yeah, but Cloud and Sephiroth didn't fight him in the original game.
They didn't, but you do when you go back. So it makes sense that he would be
He's there. It looks great. Their dual techie stuff looks fantastic. What about that super beautiful...
Yeah, that weird pose thing where
it's beautiful
like
faces. Cloud looking at Sephiroth looking hot, and Sephiroth looking at Cloud looking hot.
What did you say, Craig? It looks like it was PS3 graphics.
But like their faces don't look very.
They're not rendered
well.
No.
Yeah, it look kind of but I don't like the idea of Cloud. Like I know some people are saying, if you look, Sephiroth's doing 10 times more damage to Cloud than Cloud is, but they're still. The timing, the speed, like they're clearly level in terms of that, and I don't like that.
Here's
Cloud
my theory.
Should be slower.
He should be, and here's my theory. I was talking to Kev about this when Kev called me. My theory is that Cloud is remembering that whole thing as him in the boots of Zack. So Cloud was a lonely old soldier, but he would have seen Zack and Sephiroth fighting together as soldier first class. So he's put himself in the memory as a soldier first class.
Even Zack back then was level 1 and like weak, and died instantly to the dragon. So, that continuity was supposed to be, he's a member of Soldier, but Sephiroth was still way, way more powerful.
Was Zack in that flashback not Soldier First Class as well?
He was, but in the original game, Cloud puts himself in Zack's shoes.
And he gets wrecked by the Ruby Dragon.
He still gets wrecked, even though he thinks he's
But I'm okay with them changing that, so long as it's explained away that it was Zack later on and he's kind of closer to being on par.
I think...
But it's a good point, because that's such a big thing for the first game, because the flashback's one of the first times you really learn a lot about Sephiroth.
It's the first time you ever see him,
and you realize just how ridiculously powerful he is compared to anyone else. And he's got all the max level spells, his attacks kill everything in one hit. Like he's
and ridiculous. That's before the snake thing. So that's your true introduction to him, other than him killing the president, of course. But this is the first time you see him in action.
And it's so unfortunate, though, I think, because that whole thing will never have the effect that the first game did, because we've seen so much of Sephiroth already.
Plus,
and we fought him and beat him.
Plus, Cloud keeps holding his own against him. That I'm like, if you're as strong as him now, what makes me think that you won't just beat him the next time? Like, you clearly were evenly matched in that fight. So you try to tell me that Sephiroth is way more powerful than Cloud. I'm like, I don't believe it, because I've seen them fight and Cloud won in my eyes. Like,
it was the tricky part about them making it a trilogy as opposed to kind of going through one game, because I would have preferred that you just end the game as a to be continued, like with maybe a small little cliffhanger, but they went all out in the whole no, this each game will have to end with a Sephiroth fight, which has taken away a huge amount from Sephiroth's character, I think. But I mean, look, it's what they've done, it's what we'll have to live with, I guess. Following on from that, we get probably my favorite bit in the trailer is like the summon showcase. We get an Alexander in what appears to be the VR room, followed by a Kujata, followed by what is the greatest looking Odin.
Way to go, Darren. You did notice that, because Maximilian, Night Sky Print, none of those guys recognized that Kujata was in there.
Oh, really?
None of them.
Yeah, we called it when we were watching the trailer, which is great because
you only see him for like a second, but it's definitely the pull.
And it's such a niche summon, which is great because it just goes to show how many summons they're obviously going to put in this game.
Like if
Kujata is in it.
Yeah, if he's in it, they're going to have like all.
I honestly didn't think they'd include
Titan,
him.
Hades.
Like, nobody knows who that one is. Like, it was just this once off. He's never appeared in any other game. Don't quote me on that, but I think...
No, I don't remember. In terms of since Final Fantasy VII, he's not appeared in a Final Fantasy VII game as a summon.
Yeah, and I didn't play like 1, 2, or 3, so I couldn't tell you for certain.
I was thinking of a different one. I was thinking of, the way there's a Typhon in 16.
Yes.
The guy you fight who puts up the big walls when you're... Ultimate controls him, he puts up the big walls and they're going, whatever. He was in 7, but in 7 he was like a weird floating warthog who like cast a tornado.
Oh,
and, like,
very
like, rotated in midair. So
he wasn't a summon,
Was he not a summon?
Or was he a summon?
Yeah, he was a summon in 7,
Oh, I don't remember him.
Because they've got so many, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Well, they just get... Because, again, I only played it recently, and it's just like, all of a sudden, you're just getting summons non-stop, and it becomes really overwhelming really fast.
This is a part that I think where they've changed their what they did in the first game. I don't think we're ever going to see a summon that'll land beside you and fight alongside you, like Ifrit and Shiva and all that did. These look like damage cutscenes.
Better off.
I mean, for me, I think so. I mean, it was cool. Like, I mean, there was a scene I remember I was playing through the first game, and Ifrit landed down, and I was just rocking around with Cloud, and like the whole gang.
They did fuck all damage, and like they mostly just walk around.
But
and,
even
like,
just
the bad guys don't even
target
target the summon because they don't have health. So the bad guy will just ignore Ifrit while Ifrit's just chasing after him. Like, I'm like, come on, Ifrit, do something.
Yeah, and because you have to make him do all the text and stuff like that. So I think they made the right choice, especially if they're introducing. Like, if Kujata's in it, there's got to be tons. There's got to be tons of summons.
Yeah, and someone like Odin would be completely over. If they want to keep Odin the same as he was in the original
Interesting little tidbit. I know these things can change, but on the health bars of our characters, when that showcase is happening of those summons, Alexander, everyone's on about 3,000 to 4,000 HP. Kujata, everyone's on the same. Odin, they all have just over 1,000 HP. Which means that Odin... I mean, I know that can change.
Oh, it's early on.
It could be early on that you get.
Because Odin isn't in VR, right? It doesn't look like it's in VR.
No, and I hope we get...
Well, I mean, realistically, that was you summoning Odin, So it wasn't necessarily you fighting Odin. It was just you summoning him to a regular fight.
But it's you get him early in the game.
It seemed like... But I mean, I don't know if you can take that for gospel in terms of what's in the command slot, in terms of what the... Does people's health really match up to what's happening around the game and these like tech demo things? You never know. But I mean, cool if he was in early. But yeah, I hope you have missions to get some of these summons.
That
and
would be great.
It's not just like the Final Fantasy VIII. Getting Odin in Final Fantasy VIII, he had a whole tower that you had to go into and solve these puzzles and fight tonberries and have a limited time, and if you did it all, you got Odin. But great.
In FF7, you opened the safe and there it was.
Yeah. The safe. Well, you had to fight missing. Was he? No, not missing number. That was Pokemon.
Yeah.
Whatever that boss was in number 7, who was ridiculously difficult for that point of the game, unless you were like last time he was fine because I was getting everything and I was grinding. But I remember when I was a kid,
it was one of the tougher bosses,
and he was extremely difficult.
Yeah, that's what jumps out of the chest.
Yeah, lost number, I think, and he's got like he gets resistant to physical damage and then magic damage alternatively depending on what color he is, and like he's got all these mechanics.
Tough old fight. But yeah, that'd be great. So after that, then we get to what's next on my list? The Golden Saucer scene, and we're just, you've got the whole gang in the little cable car going up to the Golden Saucer. They're all excited to be there, and then we get a blast of minigame after minigame after minigame. We get the
hopefully it's just lots of fun.
Yeah,
I want the characters to have fun
when they're there.
Yeah, even though because realistically they're going to get there, and Barrett already knows Dyne is up to no good, so he's probably going to have his arms full and be like, this is bullshit, just like in the first game. So hopefully they'll just keep the Dyne thing for maybe a little later, you know? Don't ruin the gold saucer with your negativity, Barrett. Just have that happen.
Everyone have fun.
A good few hours later, like, you know.
Do you
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because they did say in the interview thing again that you're going to return to the gold saucer constantly throughout the game, a bit like the original one, and like new mini games will be unlocked every time you go back. So even if he is, when you go there originally and he's all pissed off about Dyne, which kind of, I mean, would track in terms of the story, hopefully that's it, and then they can just carry on and have fun. Aerith will be having fun anyway, you know?
Regardless, you should have a blast. One of my favorite things is that they 100% for the Chocobo Racing cutscene that we got, like to see them racing, that is nothing but the Kingdom Hearts team working on that. If you look,
it's so colourful.
If you look
see
at
the background, it looks like a gumdrop forest or some bullshit. Like, you know, I was like, what is that?
And it's even the UI, like the number to show you what position you're in, the little command thing for dash. It is. I
sound effect when you picked something up.
It's the Kingdom Hearts sound effect. Yeah. Like, it looked to me so in the PSP game. God, what was that one called? Birth by Sleep. There is you do racing in the Disneyland world with that team, and I was looking at this being like, this is just like an upgraded HD version of this PSP game, but I'm still excited about it. It looks great. Looks like it's its own thing.
It suits because the Gold Saucer is where the Kingdom Hearts people should, you know, have their moments. Because it's all fun bullshit, but it shouldn't be canon in any way. It's just like, we'll do the mini games, we'll do the fun, creative arcade stuff.
Yeah. And did you say in the Chocobo race that the person in first place was riding a black Chocobo?
Yes.
Which
so
is the
Dio,
same.
Dio is going to be. Is it Dio?
No, Dio's the guy who runs the Gold Saucer, but there's the guy with the hat on.
Dyne.
Dyne
is the bar.
I can't remember his name.
But the guy with the hat on, and he's always really difficult to beat. Like he's in all your races the whole way up.
So when in that scene they had all the Chocobos, much like in a Mario Kart game, you can see all the heads on the map, and the first one was a black Chocobo with red eyes, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Whoever this guy is.
I hope it's fun. That's my only thing. There's potential for that as a mini game because it's new to just be boring, and we played.
It
so much Mario.
wasn't great in the original game, especially because you had to do it so much. And you were like, oh, I'm so sick of this because like getting your Chocobo to win every race like became very, very difficult. All you wanted was to go Chocobo. You weren't like
interested in this.
Sorry to, I know you're moving on, but there was a Switch game or whatever that came out that was Chocobo Racing, and I heard someone in one of the things I've watched since the trailer came out say it doesn't look the same, like it looks like the mechanics are different. But was that critically acclaimed at all? Was it any good?
People said mechanics wise an enjoyable game. Yeah, but I mean it was just a kind of silly spin-off that
because if they can make a decent game out of
racing game
on the Switch or whatever else, then I'm sure they can port loads of the mechanics over and it'll be fun.
In the team we trust, because I would be bitterly disappointed if Chocobo Racing was dull, because I'd love for the Chocobos to be a big part of
hopefully
this game.
They will they could really have a lot of fun.
Hopefully they're all just fun, you know,
because in Final Fantasy 5 the main character has like a Chocobo buddy, you know, and that's a great thing. And then 7 I think is the only other game that's really made the Chocobos an integral part of the world, like more so than 9 even. I think Chocobos were just a really big deal in 7, and I hope they keep that, because I think I love that about the world.
Well, so from the trailer, like they seem to be used a lot, like you'll be using them a lot in traversal, you know, so I'm excited for it.
The next scene we get is this would be an interesting one to talk about our timelines. It's after the Gold Saucer, we cut back to Zack handing Cloud over to Kiri to say, "Can you watch over my friend for a second?" And then he leaves. And that's all we get about that. Craig, you had an interesting thought on the timeline thing, that where you think Zack is at this moment in time, like world-wise, universe-wise.
Well, I think he's in the timeline that we. All the events happened in the first game. Now Zack is there, but we're in his timeline, you know? So the events that we did in the first game are a little bit different, because basically I think our characters are now in the timeline that should have had Zack, and Zack is now in our timeline. That's what I think. I don't think that we'll be able to go to Midgar and see Zack. I think if we were to go to Midgar, it would be a different Midgar to the events that happened in our game, and
with the different stamp and everything.
Especially
else,
because now Sephiroth is saying that the reunion is two worlds collide.
Yes,
you know, which is not what the reunion was.
No,
like you know, the reunion was just all the Sephiroth.
So I think him saying that in the trailer is definitely the idea that I think that how the second game will end and the third game begin will be this collision of worlds, and then the timelines.
But there's more evidence in that. Remember the way you see in remember the big tree? There was the Chocobo guy. What's the dancing fella's name?
Oh, Kev,
Andrea Rodea.
Andrea Rodea, excellent. Yeah, but the fact that we now see him at the Gold Saucer, I'm like, I bet he was never in Midgar. I bet you his show is here in the Gold Saucer, and he's not going to recognize Cloud. That's what I think. That you're going to go up and it'll be a very similar thing, and he'll be like, "Oh, hey, honey, you look great." But he's not going to know who you are because the events of his timeline are different because it's Zach's timeline.
Interesting.
That's what I think. And again, you're going to see, because that would lead me to believe that then you will actually see your one Jesse on stage at the Gold Saucer, and I just think that would be amazing.
So that
especially the reveal that everything, like the reveal for the characters that the timelines are different, should be Jesse on stage.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, if that's what they're gonna do, that'd be a great way to do it.
So then, keeping that in mind, in the original trailer that we already did an episode on, if you haven't heard that, you should check out. It's called That Rebirth trailer. Just gonna plug the pod here.
This is this Rebirth trailer.
This Rebirth trailer. Yeah, that and this.
The second Rebirth trailer.
That one starts off with the entire party, with the exception of Cloud, because he's not there. Dead and being put into a medical helicopter and being taken off, and Midgar's in flames. So do you believe that, and this is where the whole timeline thing crossing is difficult to understand, because you're saying that Zach has walked into our party's timeline, but they've all just left, so that none of them would be there. So
that's just my theory, though.
Yeah, because my
any crackpot theory could be correct.
Yeah, because at this stage, because my thing about it is that when Zach at the end of the DLC that you play integrated with Yuffie calls on the church to see Aerith, and when he goes in, everybody's very, very sad, which must mean that they know Aerith has most likely died, which would put him still in his same timeline where we saw all of the party die.
Yes,
that's a good point.
Plus the fact that Cloud isn't there shows that there
Cloud
has
was
to
with
be
Zach.
changes, because Cloud is with Zach, so it can't. The actions can't have all been the same, know.
And also, we were saying we saw Elmira in the background when Zach has Cloud on her shoulder or whatever, and obviously it was only there for a second, but if it came to it, Elmira would obviously recognize Cloud because she would have just seen Cloud with Aerith not long ago.
Yes, but I think Elmira doesn't recognize Cloud in that scene. She'll just recognize Zach, and I think in that situation, Zach rocks up, doesn't know what the hell's going on, and you hear the bit at the very start of the trailer when Elmira saying, "Oh, people think it's the beginning of the end of the world." So he goes to her to be like, what's happened here in Midgar? Where's Aerith? All that kind of stuff. So I think that'll be Zach's thing, his first go-to, because who does he know in Midgar? Well, Shinra's all up in flames. Aerith is nowhere to be found. Well, I'll go talk to Elmira. She might know what the hell's going on because he knows her. So I don't think that they've crossed over timelines.
That is a good point about linking it to the end of Intergrade, where Zach walks into the church and everyone's sad, because when that happened, all of us were going, well, why, what happened to Aerith? Why is everyone so sad? Blah, blah, blah. And then for the first trailer to be Aerith dead, essentially getting thrown into an ambulance, like that's a great theory. Yeah.
So that's why I think we haven't crossed over. So interesting thoughts on timelines, because the game's going to get so fucking wacky by the third.
So just it's not what it's what I want to happen. But
you want them to cross over.
The thing I said with going to the Gold Saucer and seeing Jesse, I just want that to play out.
If you were writing the game,
if I was writing the game, that's what I would do. But I don't think that they'll do it.
But it would be great. So here's my theory on it, because I think I don't necessarily believe that Zach will be a playable character in this game. But if he's a playable character in the third game, and Zach's got to get his party together, that won't be Red, Barrett, Aerith and Tifa, because they were all dead. You might get this whole, the B team or whatever else, or like the Avengers part 2.
That would be a lot of fun.
But when he goes to the Gold Saucer, sees Jessie, befriends Jessie, and she's there doing her thing and becomes part of because Jessie's a hugely popular character, obviously with the developers, by the fact that they gave her so much time in the first game, that I think they don't really want her to be gone.
That would be a great way to fit it into what we think this timeline might be, and get the best of both worlds, for Zach to go to the Gold Saucer
and
for Jessie to be performing there. Would be great. Like, she never joined Avalanche,
I just think we're going to have limited exposure to Zach, same way the first game did. I think he'll be used at the very start as the catch up, so him walking around will really just be the tutorial for people who haven't played, to He's basically going, what's going, like, he's the player, you know?
Yeah.
He's the player who wasn't there. He's just like, what happened? And everyone's going to explain to him what happened in the first game. And that's the tutorial, you know, for anyone who hasn't played Remake, because the developers have said they want it to be able to be played as though you haven't played it. So if you're a new player, you're essentially taking on Zach's role. And if you're a returning player, you're taking on Cloud's role. You know what I mean? So that's a good way to do that.
To do a second game, for sure. Going on to the next scene, we go back to tune on. I'm going to say Junion on every time almost. We go back to that with everybody cheering, but we get this mysterious man in the dark cloak who kind of gives Rufus a look over.
That was the most interesting moment for me, because I was like, I don't know him.
Yeah.
You know,
new character potentially.
But if it's a new character, happy days. But if it's related to
Dirge
Battle
Cerberus.
Royale, Dirge of Cerberus, or Crisis Core, no, I'll be fucking furious.
Because I haven't heard anyone talk about him, or like no one seems to have recognized him from the trailers, because I haven't played Dirge of Cerberus or whatever else. But there was a bit in the first game after the plate comes crashing down where you go underground and you fight like the behemoth and stuff down there, and you're fighting there's like an organization that Nero and Weiss and stuff are part of.
Oh, so
you fight them underground. So like maybe he's related to that, stuff. And that is they're gonna drag that into
Dead Cell. No, that's Metal Gear Solid. Deep Ground. It's Deep Ground.
Yeah, something like that.
It's some shit. Yeah.
Some bullshit Vincent Valentine stuff. Speaking of Vincent Valentine, no, actually he's not in the next scene. The next scene was one of my favorite scenes in the whole trailer, and it's Tifa floating in.
You've said this 3 times now. That was your favorite scene in the trailer.
He said one of my favorite scenes.
Yes,
he did say, but the first 2 times he didn't. He actually said it was my favorite.
So I've got a lot of favorite parts of the trailer. This is one of them. The bit with Tifa in what it looks like to be like the live stream, I guess, floating there, and Red 13 is kind of talking her through the protectors of the planet, the weapons, and we see Emerald Weapon. Who was that?
I think that scene's Cosmo Canyon.
Me too. Yeah, I think it's part of the like virtual reality that Bugenhagen is showing them.
Yeah, and they're explaining everything about it. And I think as a weapon, I don't know whether or not it's Emerald Weapon. I mean, it could be. It's green or whatever, but it doesn't really look like Emerald Weapon.
It looks nothing like Emerald Weapon. But I wonder,
maybe there's more weapons in this game.
Yes.
They're quite
side quests.
Because some of them didn't look great, you know. Like,
and that one didn't look particularly threatening compared to like Ruby or Emerald or whatever in the first one, or Ultima or any of them. It just looked like
what was the one that gets shot by the gun? What was that one called? Can you remember?
I can't remember. It was the big white one.
Was it Omega?
That fired all the
Omega
missiles.
maybe.
Which one was Ultima? Ultima is the one you fight and eventually kill near Cosmo Canyon.
You have to fight him like 3 times.
Yeah.
You're in the high wind,
and then you get the path up to that little forest where you do the puzzle to get all the special stuff.
He's one of the weaker ones. Yeah.
What is his name?
Don't know, but that'll be a cool scene. But yes, that introduction to the whole weapons who will be here to protect the planet is, you know, the alluding to the future in the game is a great way to put in, because the weapons just kind of come out from the Northern Crater and like, oh, those big weapons.
Yeah,
to protect the
there
planet.
should be some foreshadowing with them, because they did come out of nowhere, and you're just like, what the hell are these?
Yeah, what am I meant to do with these guys? So that'll be good. So then after that, we get what everyone was hoping for, the big old Vincent reveal,
which they had to show.
Based on Ever Crisis.
Based on Ever Crisis.
But he pops out, voiced by Matt Mercer. I'm delighted for the guy.
Yeah.
Delighted for the guy. What a turnaround that must be for him. One of his first cosplay shows, they showed that he dressed up as Sephiroth. He's a massive Final Fantasy VII fan. I watched an interview with him from years ago where he said Final Fantasy VII, the game, is what got him into Dungeons and Dragons and creating these worlds.
Nice.
So the fact that he's now, however, 20 years later,
the influence of Final Fantasy VII is mind blown. And I'm going on a slight tangent here, but you just brought up, I messaged you the other day, and one of my favorite, complete tangent, fantasy authors, Brandon Sanderson, is a massive Final Fantasy fan, and it's influenced a lot of his stuff as well. Like it's such an iconic game for so many people.
Yeah,
and it shaped so many people who are into anything fantasy, like you said, D&D or not.
But I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for the Final Fantasy series 7 and 8, especially. Like, you know,
that's why we're all friends.
Yeah. Amazing. But Vincent's reveal in the kind of weird mansion bit. We didn't get to see his face. We just got a little see.
But we know what it looks like.
I'm quite excited. Do we think Vincent's playable?
No, I don't think. I think when you have bad news, you put it out. You know, like you shouldn't reveal good news. You reveal bad news so that people don't get mad when the game comes out. That's why when they did that interview, I was like, he made sure to name drop the companion thing. and he mentioned that very specifically, that like there will be characters that will accompany you that will be playable in the next game.
And he did say characters, which is annoying because you
Vincent
can say
Sid.
it's just Sid, which is funny because Vincent should be relatively early on. Well, no, actually, Nibelheim's past Cosmo Canyon and everything else.
Yeah, and there's the whole thing that they are turning everything around in terms of the where you go and when you go is different to
75% true the game, or true the through this part of the game, I would say.
Yeah.
Because you just have Temple of the Ancients and then the Forgotten Capital, and that's it.
He's still going to be dope to see him fluting about the place, firing his weapon off.
Like, a lot of people are mad. I'm fine with them having less characters because I think we're going to need time to learn these new characters.
Well, we have 2 new ones in Red.
If there's a new character
3.
every 10 minutes, then I'll just be like, here, I haven't learned how to use this one yet.
Yeah.
And the game is going to start off with two new characters on
2
top of the
brand new.
fact that we were never able to play as more than 3 ever before anyway. So we're going from 3 to 6 instantly, and I'll be like, that seems a lot.
3 to 7 because we'll have Red 13 and Yuffie on top of
But Kate
Katsith.
Sid will be at least 10 hours into the game or whatever.
Right,
But
okay,
like,
you mean from entry
Yuffie
level.
seems very, very early.
Yeah.
you know?
Kate Sith could be earlier on. Like, when do you think Cloud is talking to Kate Sith and saying, "Oh,
I
Gold
don't-
Saucer, I'd say.
I don't know if they're going to do... Well, in fairness, I mean... Yeah, it just didn't look in that scene where he's talking to him. It didn't look very Gold Saucer, unless it's in an office in the Gold Saucer somewhere in the admin office. Yeah. But it didn't look very flashy because in the original game you meet him at the area with all the pipes, isn't it?
But wouldn't it make sense that he's a fortune teller, and maybe that's just his office as the fortune teller in Gold Saucer, and maybe Aerith is like, no, come on, like we'll ask this guy, he'll know where Sephiroth is, and Cloud's like, there's no way a fortune teller is going to know where Sephiroth is, and yet Aerith will drag Cloud along because she loves the fun type of shit. You know? So for me, that'd be a great way to do it.
That's
so Cloud,
true, actually.
Cloud's just like, where's Sephiroth? You know where he is? But he doesn't believe that Kate Sith will have an answer. But Kate Sith will have a surprisingly good answer, and it'll intrigue Cloud.
Very good.
That's what I would do, and I'm brilliant.
So good. Okay, so after this then, what have we got? We got 2 scenes left. Sorry, pretty much 1 scene left. After that, Vincent reveal, we get what looks to be the end game fight scene, the colliding
of worlds. The least exciting part of the trailer is the end. Except for that one line from Sephiroth saying that reunion when worlds collide or whatever else, which hints towards the timelines coming together. Yeah. Which is great to get some sort of confirmation. But yeah, the end of the trailer was very lackluster. It was just like a recap. Someone was saying, talking about it maybe being the start of this game. Do you get that cutscene again? Do you know, you see the end of the first game again?
I think different potentially because... Oh, no, actually, you could be right because the ghosts, those fate ghosts are there, and the ghosts shouldn't be there anymore. So yeah, that looks like it might be a recap of game number 1. Interesting, actually, which I'd prefer that. Yeah, I'd prefer that, actually. And then at the end, then we finally get the reveal of the date, 29th of February, 2024, on 2 motherfucking discs, which I am so hyped about. You guys going digital or physical copy when the game comes out?
It'll be digital, yeah. Because like I went to online immediately, and it's impossible to get that Sephiroth trophy thing. So why do they even show us that shit if they're only going to make 100 of them? Like,
oh really? Because I was like, oh, Darren's going to be stoked because you always buy the collector's editions of games you really.
But you never like. Copies. There's always a collector's edition, and then there's like this limited edition.
I'm never.
It's something amazing.
I'm not that gamer. I'm never the guy to go for the statues.
It's a Sephiroth statue, though.
But for this game, I would go for the statue, and I tried, but it wasn't possible.
But if they can give me a cloth map of the Final Fantasy VII map, I'm into that.
But like even in the first game, I love the idea of getting the Shinra ID card.
Yes.
And even that was impossible to get.
Yes,
like an ID card, surely you could print millions of those. You know? They're still like, no, we're going to make 100 of these. You little fuckers.
Give me more.
Like, what's the point of making something and then putting it in a trailer, but nobody can get it?
But they did show, it looked like it was for the physical copy, it looked like they have like a collector's edition as well, not one with the trophy.
Like,
but
I'm over the steel bookcase and little fucking pictures of a couple of characters. It's not enough for me, you know. I'm not going to spend the extra €30 just for that.
I'll let you know how it goes.
So I'll go digital, which will ensure I get the game on time.
Craig,
I'm not going to have what happened to you happen to me.
So I've been both lucky and unlucky. I think I might have said this before. The Last of Us arrived to me 2 days early. And what game was that arrived late?
16 arrived early, didn't it?
I know,
16 arrived a day early.
If Final Fantasy VII came to me even 1 day late, I would lose my mind. I'd have lost out on so much, and I would be absolutely furious. It's fine for you. You like Kate Sith. You want to roll those dice. That's fine with me. But I don't take chances. I'm not going to have a lucky dice thrower in my party, and I'm not waiting for a physical copy.
No. Fair. Yeah. Guys, that's been amazing. It's kind of pretty much a full trailer breakdown. Nice. Are we going to enjoy the game?
Oh yeah, like I'll bitch and moan, but that's only because like they're not going to do as good a job as I could, because I've been envisioning this for years and years and years, like and I think the story is going to be botched, but the gameplay is going to be amazing. And hopefully those moments in between are going to be amazing as well. Like I want that campsite scene, at least give me one or two of those,
of them just like hanging out.
I just want to learn more, because like I said in the original game, after Midgar, the characters basically just don't talk to each other ever, because they're no longer in your party, so their lines of dialogue just don't happen.
But I think this game, regardless of where they go storyline, that's definitely going to be better. That's definitely going to, because it's a modern day AAA game, I think that will be better.
My worry though is that whatever 3 characters you have, like when you go and into a town, only those characters will be shown to be there, and that would ruin the game for me.
So based off the trailer, it looked as though when you went into the thing to reveal Vincent, the whole team was there.
Yeah, so there are going to be those moments, but I just don't want like a lot of it. Like that's fine if it only happens like every few hours you see the party. I'll still be quite disappointed. I want it to be like those moment to moments, where you see a bad guy. I want like to hear Barrett in the background, even though he's not present. I still want to hear his voice. But
didn't the first trailer confirm that? Now, this isn't to say they confirm that everyone just walks around with you, but when you're in the battlefield with 3 people, the other 2 are visible there, which makes me believe that when the fight ends, everyone comes together again to continue. But like, that'd be amazing. But imagine with 9 fucking people walking around the place, it'd be fucking unbelievable.
But I want it, and it is good when you saw that, because you sent us the screenshot showing Red 13
on the Titan
Chocobo. Looked hilarious.
It's so good.
But in that shot, there were 4 of them on the Chocobo.
Yes.
So like,
and in the first trailer, there's 4 of them on the Chocobos out from Chocobo Bill's place, which would make sense because they haven't met Yuffie yet.
Yeah.
So I think that you get everybody hanging around the place. But that idea that you have 9 characters and 9 people just like walk around like a little posse would be unbelievably cool if that is their decision. That would be mentally difficult to pull off, but if they did, I mean, imagine it's just like Sid like being like chatting away to Red 13, being like, what the fuck are you, with a cigarette in his mouth puffing away, like it'd be so good.
Sid is going to be so interesting whenever he does come into it, because he was like such an asshole in the first game, like terrible to his wife, mean to everyone, chain smoking cigarettes. So like he's just,
hopefully they capture that essence,
they keep
him absolutely being miserable.
But it's good because in the game, and I think they did a good job of capturing him in like how he became a better person in Advent Children. Like one of my favorite bits, he only has a couple of lines of dialogue, but when he arrives in to help everybody fight Bahamut, he does this whole little nose thing and he's like, Ma Shira, the latest model. So he's named his next flying machine after his wife, so he's obviously become a better person.
Are they married? I mean, in the first game they're not.
They're not married. Sorry, they're not married.
She's his assistant.
She's his assistant, but there's
has
kind of
his slave because she fucked up one time.
yeah, but he's awful to her. He's so
awful
he that's what I loved about his character. He only gets like 2-3 lines of dialogue in Advent Children, but he's a better person.
They are together though, aren't they? Because she like cooks him dinner and she's like,
that just shows how miserable he is. He just basically is using her like
all the time.
Yeah.
And he's been banging his fist on the table. Just make these guys food.
Putting his feet up. And God, I replayed it recently. I forgot how much of an asshole he was.
They'll probably tone him down.
They will have
because
to
you can't get away with that now.
No, absolutely not. And I don't think I'd want to watch that in a modern day graphic.
No, not him being abusive, but I want him to still be narky.
Yeah, be narky, be a bit of a dickhead, and smoking cigarettes and blow the smoke in people's faces that you don't agree. That kind of shit, like,
He could be an asshole if he's a complete character, but in the original game he
wasn't a character.
He wasn't. He was just an asshole until he has kind of a redemption thing where he goes to space and he's like, "Oh, it's all worth it." Oh,
yeah.
He's going to be, and it's funny. He was one of my favorite characters to have on the team, even when I was a kid. Because even when you're playing with him on the party, he's there with a cigarette in his mouth, and like Dynamite, one of his limit breaks, he just like throws a cigarette to light it. I'm like,
I hope they don't get rid of that. I know everyone. You don't want to be showing people smoking cigarettes and blah, 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 whatever, but it's it like.
It's it, and I think it has to. It's like see, that's the thing. They might not do it because what I loved about Final Fantasy 16 was Sid in 16 was smoking cigarettes and whatever. They all were smoking.
Oh, he was, yeah.
But that's an 18s game, and I think it has to be 18s.
Rating is
15s maybe.
15s.
Yeah, it's no higher than 15s. I don't think Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Yeah, well, it won't be 18s, but then I wonder what the limit is for.
I don't think you can throw cigarettes in 18s.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna.
You have to have 18s to have a cigarette, so we won't get a Sid.
Maybe that's why it's not playable, and he'll be in the last game, but the last game will be 18s.
they wouldn't change the age rating for any of the games.
No,
I
you
wouldn't get 12, and then all of a sudden
18.
everyone who's played the second game can't play the third game. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love for them to do it because I love 16. I love the adult themes in 16, and I think 7 would benefit from that. But they would cut out a massive part of their audience doing that, so that won't.
It's not 12s, right? It's 16s remake because they curse and they.
But they don't show any blood, so you just see ooze. So they've gotten away with a lot.
Yeah,
there probably is. They say things like shit or whatever else, but I think you can have a certain amount of those in a game before the rating goes up.
Well, certain words aren't considered bad. Like you can say bastard as much as you want because it's an actual word. You can use it as a curse and get away with it. Yeah.
So this game has been rated PEGI 16 for depictions of realistic-looking violence towards human-like characters.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
No cigarettes.
No cigarettes. Damn it. That was.
There you go. Sid's ruined. Just ditch him. Bench him.
Yeah, that's going to be great. So, final question before we leave: do we get Sid in this game?
Accompanying.
He'll be in it at least story-wise. He might not even be in it for combat, I don't think. But I think we'll see him.
You'll meet him.
Stage
I think we'll actually see him in June, and he'll be working on the High Wind or whatever. Like right there and then.
Interesting. Okay.
He might even be the guy in the hood. Who knows? Maybe he's trying to sneak back into Midgar after they boot him. Maybe he's trying to steal his ship. Maybe that was the thing.
Could you imagine if the guy in the cloak was Sid? What a twist!
Yeah, because he had a beard, so he's the only character I know with a beard. So.
Yeah, that's true.
He dyed his beard dark brown.
Guys, it's been great. Thank you very much for doing this trailer. We're going to be doing a quick post show after this. We're going to ask the guys what they reckon their favorite or what they would be looking forward to as a mini game in the brand new Final Fantasy VII Remake. And if you want to hear that, you got to go to patreon.com/giftagame to check that out. Kev, Craig, thank you so much for going through that trailer. God, I love Final Fantasy talk.
That was good fun.
Yeah,
I could always do that. I'm so excited for this game. We will no doubt there will be another probably trailer, I'd say, at the Game Awards or some shit like that. They'll do a third trailer, probably. And I'll meet you guys back here for that, of course. But listen, until the next time we're chatting to each other, thanks very much, guys, and to our listeners, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.